This is a super personal story about a moment in my life when the devil tried to kill me. And that may sound like clickbait, but it's actually not metaphoric. It's a real moment when I struggled and almost died. Before I tell you the story, I want you to know how my life profoundly changed. I used to be really low on empathy. My empathy grew greatly from this moment in time. The second thing that I discovered was how fragile the mind and body are. We are chemical beings, and our mental health is very much connected to our physical health and vice versa. The third thing that I learned was that there really is a spiritual realm, and I picture it like a layer sitting over top of the physical realm, and we can experience things from that spiritual realm. And in fact, it is just as real as the physical realm, and a battle is waging, with the stakes being us. So here's the story. When I was 18 years old, I was on a trip with my parents, and it was a trip to Las Vegas and then the Grand Canyon. And when I was in Las Vegas, I was with my dad, and we went indoor skydiving, and I'm hovering there, and it's amazing, and I'm like floating around, and my earplug pops out. Now, it's deafeningly loud in there, and what happened was my eardrum broke from this experience. I didn't really know it, but I had some pain for a few days, and that pain turned into an infection. This side of my face grew a little bit, like it was swollen, but I didn't want to let it stop me from experiencing a great time. We got on a mule and rode down into the Grand Canyon. But that night, when we got back to the hotel was sitting right up on top of the Grand Canyon. It was still early in the afternoon, but I went to bed. This is when things got crazy. I can remember being in a dream state and starting to feel really crazy feelings that were pulling me in different directions. It was like I was on a bicycle, but I was wearing roller skates while I was on the bicycle. Everything was throbbing, and I was in the darkness, but I didn't know what was real and what wasn't. Finally, this went on, and I could hear this swooshing, swoosh, 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 in my ears and in my head. I finally opened my eyes and sat up, and as I did that in my hotel room, I realized that I was cripplingly terrified. And I'm talking about the level of fear that I've never experienced before or after. I looked up in the corner of the room, and where the two walls and the ceiling came together, I had no depth perception, and it felt like it was a monster that was swallowing me. It was like I was shoved up into that corner of where two walls and the ceiling met. And I just thought, don't look at it. And I got up, I got out of my bed, I went to the bathroom. I was spatially aware, but I knew something was wrong. Something was terribly wrong. I'm splashing water on my face, and then I started to feel a sinking feeling inside my heart. I knew that I had done something really wrong. And what it was murder. I believed that I had murdered my parents. I believed deep in my heart that they were dead and it was my fault. And so I went into this fight or flight mode where I'm scrambling and looking around, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And I start to hear this voice in me that says, there's nothing you can do. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna run, I'm gonna hide. The authorities won't find me. I somehow, and the voice is saying, there's nowhere you can hide. There's nowhere you can hide. And I'm like, this must not be true. It must not be true. And I went outside my hotel room door. My parents were in the hotel room across from me, but this is early evening, and they had gone to dinner. I'm starting to pull on their door, and I'm frantic, and I'm like, this isn't true, right? This isn't true. I didn't kill them. And the voice kept talking to me. It said, there's nothing you can do. They're dead, they're gone, and it's your fault. And this incredible guilt is weighing on me. So much guilt that I can feel adrenaline starting to surge through me, and I need to do something. And I look down the hallway, and 50 feet down this hallway, I'm completely aware that on the other side of this door is a balcony, and on the other end of that balcony is the edge to the Grand Canyon, that the balcony is hanging over the Grand Canyon. And this voice is saying to me, it'll be quick, just run. There it is, there's the door. Just run, just jump. It'll be fast, and you'll escape them all, because there's nowhere you can run. There's nowhere you can hide. And as I feel the adrenaline surging to my legs and I'm about to do it, I'm so completely overtaken by this experience that I'm ready to take my own life. I'm ready to end it from terror, from a level of fear, like I said, that I've never experienced before or after. And just as I'm about to do it, another thought enters my head. No, they're not dead. You can still save them. And that thought was different than the other voice. It had a different tone. The tone, I just thought it was my own thought, but I turned back to the door and I'm like, I can still save them. I'm pulling on the door. Of course, it's a hotel room door. It's locked. And I'm rattling it and pulling on it. And I'm just thinking, this is what I have to do. I have to save them. I have to save them. And I'm like, this door is under a spell, but I can break the spell. I can break this curse. What does it take to break this spell? Oh, I have to run up the side of the door and do a backflip off the door, and if I do this backflip, this door will unlock and I will save my parents. So I back up and I run at the door and I start to run up the door and I land upside down on my neck and on my back on this hardwood floor that is this hotel room hallway, and I have this thought that bursts into my brain: if at first you don't succeed, try again. And I get up and I'm thinking, no, this is gonna work. This spell will be broken if I can get all the way around. And I run at this door, and I've never done this ever in my life before or since, but I ran up the door and did a backflip off the door and then came down and landed on all fours on the hardwood floor. And as I came down and smashed against the floor, the spell was broken. Not the spell that kept the door locked, but the experience that I was having. I came back to my mind in that moment. I tell you this story so that it can provide value. Hopefully it does for you. The big three things that it did for me: one, it let me have empathy for those that were in a mental health crisis. And these are the people that we see. They're muttering on the street. They don't seem like they're in the same state as us, but they need our help. And how are we going to help them if we don't have empathy? Empathy leads to that emotional intelligence that's necessary. They need us, right? And we all need each other. So as kumbaya as that sounds, we actually need to go through experiences, and that's what story is all about. We have these specific experiences, and then we're able to tell that story and relate to other people and help them because we've gone through it. The second thing that I learned was how critical the body and the mind connection is. Our physical health has a dramatic impact on our mental health. This sounds super cliche, but our physical health, getting the right amount of rest, eating properly, exercising, taking the right supplements that we need, this actually has a tremendous impact on helping us to feel like the real us, right? Everybody says it, but it's not until you go through actually exercising to the point where you got to pass out and you have to sleep well that night. These are the kinds of things that make us feel more like us. So I highly recommend that, right? The other part of that, the body-mind connection, is think about thinking. You can actually take every single thought captive and ask yourself, is this a healthy thought or is it an unhealthy thought? Is it taking me in a positive direction or a negative direction? Think about thinking. It can have a huge impact on your life. The third and probably the most controversial part of this whole story is the spiritual angle to it all. God is real. The devil is real. There actually is a battle that is waging over your soul and over your body. If the devil can get control over your mind, he can control your future. He can render you useless. You were brought into this world for a reason, for a purpose, and he wants to keep you from that purpose. That is what the battle is all about. If you feel like you're in a dark place, if you're battling any kind of mental health thing, realize that it is a spiritual thing. If you cry out to God, he will meet you where you're at. He promises us that, and he has done that for me when I've cried out to him many times. Comment down below if you've experienced spiritual battle in the form of mental health stuff. I want to hear your stories. If you don't want to be public about it, email me, jed@votaryfilms.com. I want to hear from you. Like, comment, subscribe. Bless you, and take care.